See if I can pull up this in my computer. And all right, you can see my computer. Place that away. A little bit more space going. Well, doing a little bit of desoldering, so decided to start a live stream, see if anybody's out there. Feel free to say hello in the chat if you're also bored or got the time. Let's see. Since I'm right-handed, I'll do this. There we go. Yeah, message you guys in the chat. That's clearly not working. Paying attention to too many things at once, but we'll get this. Hey Patrick, thank you for being a fan. What are you up to? Can you hear me okay? I'm gonna type some messages too. I'm not too big on streaming, so there you go. So it works. It works. This is only my second stream, so trying to figure things out. So I'm recording a video a little bit later. Here are all the parts. I need an SD card reader for that project. And I want to have this type of header. The female socket with the long pin headers on the bottom so I can stack it. A sneak peek. I'm just wanting to record some GPS data onto the SD card using either, I'm not sure if I'll use the ESP8266 or an ESP32, but I just wanted to show kind of quickly how to collect data and maybe visualize it using a browser. So to do that, I need to take these guys off. How about you? What are you up to, Patrick? Let's see. Actually gonna put a message on Discord, see if anybody wants to join in. Getting the link for the video. I'm gonna post it on a Discord chat. See if anybody wants to join in. See how many people. 11 people are watching. Feel free to say hi in the chat. Hey Dustin, new to streaming, so trying to figure out how you guys do it. Yeah, it's 11:45 here in the west coast of the US, so good evening for folks over in Europe. Yeah, exactly. I'm actually just wanted to do a more complicated setup with the OBS, and you know, I have this little cam link thing for my DSLR. I was like, nah, man. I'm just gonna put on my phone and just click the app and see how it goes. So exactly, just turn the camera on and go. In this case, my phone camera. Yeah, good morning, thanks. Good evening and good morning. How are you doing this fine evening? Working on some projects? Flux. Just chilling, huh? What does chilling these days mean? Either you're big into binge watching, or are you gonna just work on some DIY electronic stuff? Man, and also that's kind of late for a meeting. At least being self-employed, I gotta, personally, I draw a few boundaries, so I still try to maintain some business hours. Every now and again I'll make an exception, but I try to not do that very often. So, buenas noches. Good night for Unaja Clusp, or Unaja Clusp. I don't know how to pronounce that, but yeah. Let's go WeMos. Trying to, for folks who are just getting in the chat, just trying to take off this header, trying to stack a few boards. I just want to record some GPS data for my next project onto this SD card. And yeah, I hate desoldering stuff. I should buy a desoldering station. So in the meantime, I need to do this manually. I didn't want to do the whole setup with the alligator clips, what is it, the third hand as they call it. So I'm just having a little bit of fun chatting with anybody who's willing to jump into the live stream, and in the meantime try to get these guys off. So welcome. I see. Nice. Well, you know, boring for some. I guess it's not, you know, I don't think anyone finds routing the most exciting thing to do when designing electronics. But, you know, it's a nice activity where, you know, you can just hit pause on your brain and I find it to be mind-numbing. So, you know, I find it good every now and again to route boards manually. You can just get lost, and next thing you know, an hour has passed. So it's not too bad. Oh shit! We're in the presence of royalty, ladies and gentlemen. BitLooney has jumped in the chat. So, hey BitLooney. No worries. Thanks for stopping by and saying thanks for stopping by and saying hi. Alright. No, the headers don't need to stay in tags, so I find it easier. This is my process. Let me know what you think. I know it's easier, like if I chop them, I have my flat cutters here, so I'll chop them a little bit later. But I first, like, I leave them intact so that there's a little bit more structural rigidity while I'm taking the solder off. And once I get, you know, a decent amount of solder off, I'll chop them apart and then do the other process. For that, I'll definitely grab my third hand, because this is gonna be, you know, super unstable if I just, you know, all the pins are gone, right? This is not gonna have like good support. So I'll definitely like put it on a third hand and try to do the desoldering. Yeah, it's not a SIM, it's a micro SD card. I'm doing, just for my next video, it'll be, you know, I do relatively to you guys, I do simple videos, so I just want to show how to collect some GPS data and store it, you know, make the comparison between storing it into the SPI flash file system of the ESP32 or the ESP8266, or, you know, if you need to store it for longer, I mean, it's small data, but just to show the difference between storing it in an external flash drive. Yeah, no, it does look like a SIM 800 or a SIM 900, but it's one of those, let me see, Neo 6M modules. There you go. Yay. Alright. So, gotta get my practice in. I've been watching your streams, BitLooney. And yeah, this is only my second one, so I don't necessarily am a big fan of doing them. Not like Andreas Spies or however you pronounce his last name. I don't think they're a waste of time. It's just, you know, you gotta entertain at the same time to try to get some work done. So just, yeah, the microblocks and 6M module, right? The Neo 6M that are pretty much everywhere. The cheapy ones, the $6 ones on AliExpress. So anyway, getting my practice in for doing some live streaming. It's a lot of fun, and you know, working from home, you don't get to interact with a lot of people. That's why I jump on the Discord chat, and I don't participate much, but I do read through all of your guys' messages, and that's a lot of fun. You know, trying to also work on my live streaming to interact with some folks out there. definitely need to get some music going for the next one like you do. Bit loony. Ah, no worries. Thank you. Are you over your cold, by the way? Or I guess you were sick and didn't know if it was corona or not, as I remember from the Discord chat. Not too bad. This is also like routing PCBs on your EDA. This is also pretty mind-numbing. You don't need to pay that much attention. You know, it's good for chatting. It's a perfect opportunity to do a live stream. You guys let me know if you have any questions. I'd be happy to answer them while I have you all here. I'm glad to hear that. Bit loony, you're over your sickness. As you probably know, I bought a bunch of programming boards for the ESP32 cam. I've been wanting to do a video. I sell them on Amazon, and you know they sell pretty well. So I've been meaning to do a video, just an introductory video on how to use them, but I'm so lazy to wire up the programming circuit. And then when I saw your board, it's like, yes, perfect opportunity to just do as how to get started with the ESP32 cam. And yeah, I tried to get in the first batch you put up, and they were out of stock immediately. Like I was paying attention or whatever. So I jumped in as soon as I saw them this time around. So I'll send you a link when I finally publish that video, and you know, obviously I'll give you credit because I'll be using your board for that one. Gonna show you the progress. Hey Colin, evening. It's oh nice. Glad. Yeah, I was watching your streaming either yesterday or the day before when you were putting together or working on your pick and place. Hey Colin, I guess it's almost noon here in the West Coast. I'm in Pasadena, so good evening for folks over there in Europe. I'm out here, the West Coast of the US. Yeah, man, those boards are great. So, seeing them in action, I just like the ESP32 cam. You know, you can do a lot of stuff with it, but you know, I haven't. Even though I sell them, I have them in stock, and I have them around. I haven't had the chance to actually like program any single one of them, because I'm too lazy to set up the circuitry to program them. So kind of excited to give it a try. So yeah, how about you, Colin? What are you working on? Just showing my progress. Let's see. Not too bad, not too shabby. It's getting there. Yeah, Now, Corona definitely. I've seen Brian's update on that list of number of countries he can't ship to. It's getting longer by the day, it seems. So things are a little bit tricky for us, I guess, maker pros. Trying to sell items around the world. It's getting more difficult for me. I do most of my sales through Amazon, and yeah, for them they put a 2-week restriction on sending items out to them. So just to give priority to things like medical supplies and high priority items. So things like, that's why I was joking around with Brian. Things like this little DIY electronics are not sort of essential items. I disagree, but nah. Obviously, I'm joking around, and this is a pretty serious situation. But the bottom line is that we, sellers like myself cannot ship this to their warehouses, from Amazon so that they can distribute the products. So I have a bunch of items out of stock, which is fine. There's a really big thing going on, and I won't dwell on it. As out of principle, I'm sure your feeds are inundated with all sorts of news regarding the current situation. So I'll just stick to electronics for now, and I hope obviously that you're all doing well and staying healthy. What kind of boards am I making lately? Just for the most part, I think 80% of my items are just reselling stuff that we find for cheap on AliExpress. So, feel a little bit sheepish as an electronics engineer. So when I got my start doing a Kickstarter on my own board, it's called the Smart Citizen, and it was, before this was so easy to make. Like, you can just get a bunch of WeMos and connect, make an environmental monitoring blah 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 and connect it to the internet very easily. But this was back in 2012, and we together with a few friends, we launched a Kickstarter for again, to create citizens conscious about the environment. Created a little what's it called, a weather station, more than a weather station. You measure air quality, blah blah blah. So that's the kind of boards that I would make, integrate Arduinos with, at the time, the CC3000, which is a Texas Instrument chip for connecting to the internet, pre-ESP8266. So, I would make boards that would integrate a bunch of functions into one. But lately, I still sell that, and it still sells quite well. But 80% of my products are just reselling stuff from Amazon. And the designs that I do make are somewhat simple, like little labels or LED hats for Raspberry Pis and such. But they don't, if you compare that with buying something on AliExpress, putting it on Amazon, it's, a little bit discouraging to spend any time on making my own products. But I do love it. I'm an electronics engineer by trade, and that's what I grew up doing. So every now and again, I'll whip out a board. But lately, trying to catch up with what the bigger companies are putting out, trying to find it on AliExpress and spinning, white labeling my own version. Yeah. No, it is. It's crazily priced. Right. It's the thing with environmental sensors, particularly out here in the US, places like national laboratories will sell you, will buy them by the tens. I'm not gonna lie, not by the hundreds, but yeah. And I have it on my website listed at $175. So you can imagine putting together an Arduino, one of these older chips that I'm blanking. It's one by Roving Networks for connecting to the internet. I haven't changed the design since 2013. And just a bunch of sensors, right? Like, you can imagine that manufacturing that is not terribly expensive, and it's not a huge volume, but a decent volume at a very high markup rate, then yeah, it's selling out. Even if I would sell a couple of those a month, then it'd still be like pretty damn profitable. Yeah, BM280, I think it's on there for, but the Wi-Fi chip, it was something else. It's a roaming networks RM something. I can't remember what the numbers were, but yeah, it's a, I don't know. My friend, he lives in Barcelona, Spain, the one I launched the project with, and I think in the US it's a different landscape for pro makers. I think if people like yourself, Bitlooney, if Brian, people are getting started on the maker pro scene. We're out here in the US. I don't know. I think it's a wider market. People, I think the capitalism here in the US, it's so vast. We'll just pin out my accent. All right, I'll give you a few minutes. See if you can trace it. I will give you not necessarily a hint, but a bit of information. I've been out in the US for almost 17 years. It'll be 17 this August. And a bit loony, is that your guess? Australian? Mate? Alright, let's see. Colin, you're dragging your butt back into making, huh? Making a solar power Wi-Fi extender for the garden using an ESP. Nice. You printed the case out. What were you doing? South American, yes. I try to get rid of my weirdly pronounced R's, but yes, we've narrowed it down to South American. Hint of Filipino, but I mean, no, it's South American, but you do. So I found this out when I came to the US because I grew up without too much contact with the outside world. Not the outside world, but back in my country, we don't, it's very homogeneous society when I was growing up. So, but as I found out, Filipinos, the language is very similar to Spanish. Has like, there was a big Spanish settlement there, so the language itself is heavily influenced by Spanish, so the pronunciation is the same, some of the names are the same, the spelling is a little bit different, but even the last names are quite similar. So good guess. No, it's okay. Same burrito. Fucking Bitlooney. Yeah. So I think Bitlooney cheated and went on my Twitter profile. I'm a very proud Argentinian, and I wave that flag. If we were up in my living room, I literally have a big old flag underneath the TV that I could show you all. But yeah, been living out here in the US for 16, 17 years, almost 17 in August. And yeah, I still remain, although anytime I go back to Argentina, I try to go back twice a year. I'm a gringo, I'm a Yankee, as they call people from the US, as we call people from the US. But anyway, I do love my country, but not planning on going back anytime soon. Particularly doing this kind of stuff, right? That's what I was talking about, that the market in the US for entrepreneurs and people who are self-employed, especially in this market space of ours, then yeah, I would have a really tough time going back to Argentina. It's kind of funny because people ask me to do videos in Spanish. Hey, that'd be, just dub your freaking videos to Spanish and double up on the on the profits. And it's not as simple as that, because most of my I don't make a whole lot of money from YouTube. Although now with sponsors, that's changed a little bit. But just YouTube, don't, as some of you know, doesn't pay that well. But I do make quite a bit of money from people clicking on those links below that are linked to my own store on Amazon. So that kind of works out quite well. And people, in my experience, from Spanish-speaking countries are very a lot less inclined to buy overpriced stuff on Amazon that they can find on AliExpress or eBay. So I only have so much time during the day, so for now it's just I'll whip out my best English sounding accent and make videos in English. Oh man, thank you, Brian. Welcome. Looney is a cheater. Oh man. So anyway, on my bucket list is going to an event. Eventually, once this is all over, hopefully we're all staying healthy. All right, I said it. But I want to go to an event where I get to meet all of you. I'll, whether it's Ireland, Germany, whatever, Maker Faire, Berlin. And I'm gonna propose that Brian and Bitlooney settle their little back and forth they have going over. I'll bring some gloves. If you've seen, I do a little bit of amateur boxing. So I'll bring some gloves and be the referee and see you both hash it out. But like I said before, I'm gonna go with the Irish, Gypsy King, heavyweight champion of the world. I don't know, man. Although, yeah, I don't know. That'd be an interesting fight. Yeah, no, the AliExpress affiliate. I've been meaning to do that after seeing your comments with Looney over Discord. How many clicks you're you're getting them and such. So that might be something to try. But just to give you my secret formula, I do affiliate links, so I have an affiliate account on Amazon, and so I make a commission there. It's not as huge as probably the one you guys are making with thousands or tens of thousands of clicks. But the trick is that those links, for the most part, go to my own Amazon shop, right? So I'm kind of double dipping. I get a commission from the click if they buy the product, and I obviously get the revenue from selling my stuff. So something to consider for you guys. I don't know about genius. I think it's a South American wizardry, I would describe it as. But I see, so Colin tells me that you make a bit on AliExpress even with low click rate. That's interesting. No, I've been motivated. I need to carve a little bit of time in my day to just set up the account and start putting links, right? Like I can just place it underneath my own Amazon link. If people want to wait the 2 weeks or 3 weeks to get their products, they can go through AliExpress. But if they want it a little bit quicker, they'll have to pay a premium and go through my store. So hey man, bit loony. So I might give that a try just to close the thoughts on that. I'm buds with, I do amateur boxing, and I'm very good friends with the people I get to spar with. And it's fun both inside and outside of a ring. So just because you're buds doesn't mean you can't fight. But I'm joking around, obviously. So, yeah. No, I was saying before, Brian, that YouTube doesn't make me a whole lot of money. Now with the sponsors, that's what I was asking you the other day. What are your current thoughts on sponsors? Because sponsors have definitely changed a little bit of the landscape for me, for putting a lot more effort on YouTube. But yeah, just the YouTube revenue itself is pretty crappy. Let's see. Reading through your guys' comments. Let's see. All right. Wow, that's pretty crazy. Your earnings on YouTube, Bitlooney. It kind of makes sense. It's a direct proportion. I know subscriber counts don't tell much, but you know, I'm like 5 times fewer subscriptions than you have, and make, I think, on average around 4 times less than you do. So yeah, it's interesting that it's, even if the subscribe counts and the view counts increase crazily, it's not unless we start gaming or something and become really popular, it's not a sustainable or a significant source of revenue. Brian, I think you probably have a ton of offers. PCBWay and LTSC, all these companies, well, pay, depending on, I don't know, depending on what, but a couple $100 per video done doesn't sound too bad. And as long as you get a certain number of views, they haven't told me like you need to get this many views for us to keep doing it. I don't get huge number of views, and I do produce videos quite often, so they're not as elaborate as the ones you guys make, and they're still happy to sponsor, so just something to consider. So yeah, the JLC PCB, I haven't done one for them, Colin, in a while, but they were also around there. They paid a little bit less than the other two, but it's not too bad. I think Brian says that it would be great to find you, Bitlooney, so oh man, that's gonna be some. I see. Just reading through your comments real quick. Yeah, no, Elaine from PCBWay is fantastic. I think they're my favorite sponsor. They pay on time, and I think she's great. Get this weird message stream at 2 a.m. in the morning from a woman out in China, being super nice. I don't know if it's a language different or whatever language difference, but luckily I don't have a jealous wife, but the thought always comes. It's like she's seeing my phone busting up in the middle of the night. It's like, who is this woman on WhatsApp texting you? It's like, she will never do that, but it's just kind of funny. She's a super nice person, and both my wife, but I'm talking about Elaine. And then she just gets the job done, make sure the payment is there on time. Didn't pay me for about 4 videos when they were shut down for the coronavirus. And soon as first day back at the office, she put forth the payment for all of them, so never had an issue with them. And so I'm happy to give them a shout. If you get an offer from them to sponsor you, you should probably consider it. So Colin, what were you doing that you weren't making? You said you're trying to get your butt back into making. Were you just busy with the recent situation, or were you just focused on your day job, which perhaps is different than making? All right. And now it's time to actually like chop up these guys to try to get these guys out individually. Wish me luck. This is gonna take an hour or two to go through this process, but I get to enjoy the company of you all. So that's an absolute win. Or I call that an absolute win. You see my meme language. Yeah, no, bit loony. I know the feeling. Kind of funny. I think I heard you say in one of your streams that you wanted to get some. You know, you were making a joke about wanting some children in your life, some kids of your own, to get some cheap labor for assembling the products. So I immediately assumed you were married, but anyway. Oh yeah, I didn't know if Sean's was yesterday or today, so whenever that comes up, I'll close mine. That way he doesn't hold a grudge against me for, hoarding. In this day and age of hoarding, I don't want to hoard Sean's faithful audience, and I'm one of them. So I'll jump on there as well. Nice. You wouldn't trust any of your boys to assemble anything? Yeah, I wouldn't trust my younger self to, just have enough of attention span to do something, because this is when you're assembling a batch order or, doing things like this, it's all about repetition. And yeah, my younger self was way too ADHD, to use that term loosely, to be able to carry such a task. So, oh man, did you at least, Brian, do you at least, I don't know, buy some ice cream to your daughter, man? I've seen you having her put in the work for some of the stuff you're doing, like packing the bags and such. Can't believe you don't pay your wife, man. That's messed up. She has to earn it. Nice. Wow. Do you put quotas? Is that how she earns it? Is like either pack 100 bags or you don't get anything, and if you do pack 100 bags, we'll talk about what you get. Time to bring in the big boys. My third hand. Not a sponsor by these guys or anything, but I do love this thing. It's pretty hefty. I've never used a third hand in my life. Let me see how this looks. But this guy I do love, and that's the main reason I started using it. Or I started using a third hand contraption is because I found this guy. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Super easy to use, super hefty. This thing's bent the correct way. The alligator clips don't, fall apart like the ones with the little magnifying glass and such. They would fall apart on me all the time, so I hated those things. We had to use them in electronics lab from time to time, and it's not a big fan. What? 50 euros an hour and she declined? Man. Wow. Let's see. What does she do for a living? Bit loony. that she is rejecting that kind of cash. Or just the work is, she finds it too boring. So even if you paid her 100, she would say no. Oh yeah. Really? The pleasure of your company is not enough payment. Yeah. Trying to get a review. Alright. Me too. Let's see, can I? Freelancer. Nice. Nice. Yeah, no, the experience alone would be valuable. So were all of you going to, I think it was Maker Fair Berlin or whatever Maker event was coming up? Were all of you trying to go? Have a little European party without me? That's kind of presumptuous, but oh yeah, no. I took the hint, but I decided to pry a bit loony. Since you didn't answer, it's like, this motherfucker is being mysterious. But yeah, decided to pry just out of curiosity. But I think I've offered my wife an unpaid internship facetiously, and I will share what she does. She's an aerospace engineer working for a NASA laboratory here in a city by Pasadena where I'm at. So she's a smart cookie, and if her line of work doesn't speak for itself, she was smart enough to decline my unpaid internship offer. But from time to time, she'll help me, put little things into bags, as we all need every now and again. And she does it for the pleasure of my company. So I got one a bit loony. Yeah, she works at JPL. And the stuff is, obviously I've checked with her, but it's out in the public. Every time we'll post something on Instagram and tag one another. We have public profiles or whatnot, so even if I try to keep it a secret, there are ways of finding that information out. So I won't put it necessarily on writing, but don't mind sharing it with you guys. And the hundreds of thousands of people who watch this live stream eventually. Not. Yeah, the Dr. Octopus arms. Yeah, no, I love it, dude. I try to show it off on as many videos as possible. Not to brag or I like using it, and the only time I'm using this, as I was saying before, because even the boards I design, I don't do the whole Brian or Bit Looney approach where I assemble the boards here. I buy them assembled already. So I don't get to do any of this good stuff other than for my videos. So anytime I get an excuse, I try to use the tools I like working with. And this is one of them. Oh man, can't believe you guys had everything set up to go to Maker Fair Berlin, and it didn't happen. Kind of a bummer. Just from seeing all the little interactions on the Discord server. I think you guys enjoy the company of one another, so that would have been a good excuse to have a physical version of those interactions. But all in due time. Dude, yeah, that'd be awesome. Talk about a crossover. The two of you, or a bunch of you, a handful of you, doing joint videos on YouTube. I would watch the crap out of that, and I think a bunch of folks would think like myself. Would it be the Brian Bitlooney show or the Bitlooney Brian show? Or would you guys have to fight and the winner gets to be in front of the name? Nah, man. if there's something I've learned, I don't know how old you guys are. I'm 37, and I started doing this 7 years ago. And anyway, everybody suffers from the so-called imposter syndrome. So the sooner you accept that nobody knows what they're doing, then the happier you'll be, Colin. And if they claim to know what they're doing, they're just lying to themselves and reflecting their insecurities in a different way than the rest of us who are just shy and kind of awkward, or whatever the way you channel that sort of imposter syndrome, that you feel you don't know what you're doing compared to your peers. A few people, to overcome those insecurities, tend to be a bit of an asshole about it. And certainly I don't like going to this cons. I would go to sit behind a booth or whatever, try to sell my products, and I would only go to Maker Fair out here in the Bay Area, where it's just a family oriented event. But anytime I go to a more hacker type of reunion of sorts, social gathering, even the SuperCon out here in Hackaday is in Pasadena, right? So they do the SuperCon, and a few of you were out here last year. I tried to go just to meet some of the Maker YouTubers, but I didn't want to deal with the crowds there. And there you certainly find all this asshole type people who would try to overcome their insecurities by, I don't know, flexing on everybody about meaningless topic in the big scheme of things. But to each their own. That's just my own take, obviously. Oh man, yeah, Michael Reeves and William Osman, which I respect them as makers, but I would much rather watch the Bitlooney Brian. I'm gonna avoid pronouncing your last name. I've seen your. I don't think I've ever heard you give a pronunciation key, but I've definitely seen you spell it out in written form, and not gonna try till I meet you in person and ask you, okay, how do you pronounce this shit, and practice a bunch of times. So anyway, the Brian Bitlooney's version of the what this guy is, the Michael Reeves and William Osman, get up to. Those projects are fun, but yeah, I think I'd rather stick with you guys. Yeah, I know, luck, but as English is not my native language, I always think I'm gonna butcher it. I don't know if you intended that pun, bit loony, that you look more when you work with someone in your videos, but if you did intend it, masterfully done. If you didn't, I guess it's some sort of slip. Not a Freudian slip, but some sort of slip, and that was kind of hilarious. But yeah, maybe, we should stay whenever one of these conferences happen and we get the time to hang out with one another. We should set out, just carve a day out and try to make a video with a bunch of people in it. I don't know, just pick a project beforehand, bring the components, and do like a hackathon style, 24-hour, building the project, recording it, editing, and posting. I guess the editing and posting it could be done at a later time, but definitely be fun to try. Like an actual project. I know a few of you have done like, this is a video of me meeting up with a bunch of people that I've only known through the internet. But an actual build video, now that'd be something. All right, man. Thank you all for stopping by, Brian. I will catch you guys on the Discord chat sooner than later. And for folks jumping over to Sean's, I'm gonna pronounce it like that, unexpected makers video, I will see you guys there. I got my mission somewhat accomplished. So yay, thank you all for keeping me company and for chatting. This was a lot of fun. I'll try to do it a little bit more regularly now that I know it's not such a complicated thing. So thank you for stopping by, and I will see you next time.